The galaxy had many laws. Most were simple: trade laws, travel laws, war laws. Every species knew them, every empire followed them, because war in the galaxy was controlled. Clean, limited wars had rules: no total destruction, no endless fighting, no species was allowed to erase another. This balance kept the galaxy alive. At least that is what everyone believed. The Galactic Council chamber floated above a blue star. It was built from crystal metal and ancient stone. Delegates from 100 worlds gathered there, tall ones, small ones, scaled ones, mechanical minds inside steel bodies. They came often, but today was different. The room was silent, not respectful silence, fearful silence. An ancient council member floated forward. Its body was thin and glowing. Its voice was slow and heavy. A rule has been broken. Energy waves moved through the chamber. No one spoke, no one moved. The elder continued. A rule so old that most believed it was only a story. Some delegates shifted, others lowered their eyes. The elder raised a symbol in the air, a red mark shaped like a broken circle. The Red War Protocol. At that name, the chamber reacted. Several species pulled back. One representative shut down its light sensors. Another began to tremble. This law was not like others. It was not written to guide war. It was written to stop something worse. The elder spoke again. This law was created to save the galaxy long ago, before many empires existed. There was a war that almost ended everything back then. The galaxy was young. Species were proud. Wars were brutal. One species changed everything: humans. At first, humans were ignored. They came from a dangerous world: high gravity, wild weather, constant disasters. They called it a death world, and humans survived it. When humans joined the galactic stage, they were seen as loud, emotional, weak. They traded, they explored, they smiled too much. No one feared them. The first Great Coalition War began. A powerful empire attacked several systems. Council forces were stretched thin. Losses were heavy. Humans offered help. The council debated. Some laughed, some warned against it, but desperation won. Human fleets entered the war. At first, nothing seemed special. Human ships were smaller. Their weapons were simple. Their armor was rough. They lost ships. They lost people, but they did not retreat. Humans adapted. They learned enemy patterns. They studied supply routes. They watched and waited. Then they changed the war. They did not fight to win battles. They fought to break the enemy. They destroyed factories. They cut fuel lines. They isolated worlds. Enemy fleets began to starve communication. Collapsed. The war slowed, then stopped. The enemy surrendered. The council celebrated. They called humans heroes, but some were afraid because humans were not finished. They stayed alert. They watched the defeated empire. When signs of rebuilding appeared, humans acted. No warnings, no council vote. They removed the threat completely, not through rage, but through careful planning. The galaxy had never seen war like this. It was quiet, cold, final. That was when the Red War Protocol was written. It stated one truth: humans do not fight to prove strength. Humans fight to remove danger forever. The law banned human warfare, not as punishment, but as protection for everyone. The elder finished speaking. The chamber remained silent. A younger delegate finally spoke. Why bring this up now? The elder turned. Because the rule has been challenged. A new threat is rising. An ancient force beyond the rim. Council is afraid, and someone asked a forbidden question. Should we call the humans? The blue star outside the chamber flared. Light washed over every face. Fear returned, not of the enemy, but of the answer, because the galaxy remembered one thing: when humans fight, wars end, and sometimes so does everything else. Asterisk. The past returned slowly, like a shadow moving across stars after the first war. After the victory, the galaxy tried to forget. Humans were thanked, honored, then quietly pushed away. They were told to trade, to explore, to stay neutral. Humans agreed on the surface. They returned to their worlds, rebuilt fleets, studied everything they had seen. The council believed the danger had passed. They were wrong. Years later, a smaller conflict began. Two alien empires fighting over border systems. It was nothing new. Skirmishes like this happened often. Rules were followed. Losses were limited. Civilians were safe until one human colony was caught in between. The world was young, barely settled. Families, workers, children. The colony sent distress calls. They asked for evacuation rights. The request moved slowly through council channels, too slowly. The enemy fleet arrived first from orbit. They fired precision strikes, claimed it was an accident. The colony burned, millions died. When the news reached human space, there was no shouting, no panic, only silence. Human leaders gathered, military, civil, scientific. They watched the recordings. They listened to the final messages. No one spoke. Then a single decision was made. Humans would not ask for permission. They would not request justice. They would act human Fleets launched without council approval. No grand announcements, no threats, just movement. Alien observers noticed something strange. Human ships were not heading toward battle zones. They were spreading out into deep space, into logistics routes, into quiet systems. They ignored enemy fleets, ignored border patrols. Instead, they struck behind. The line's fuel depots vanished, shipyards failed, data centers went dark. The enemy did not understand they won battles, but still lost territory. Their fleets ran out of fuel. Their soldiers lacked supplies. Entire systems fell without a single large battle. The Council tried to intervene. They sent warnings. They demanded humans stop. Humans replied only once. The threat remains. Then communication ended. The enemy empire panicked. They called for ceasefire. They offered reparations. Humans did not respond. Instead, they released information. Every hidden base, every reserve fleet, every emergency bunker. Nothing was secret. One by one, the empire lost its ability to fight, not because of destruction, but because of control. The war ended. But humans did not withdraw. They stayed watching, measuring. When the empire tried to rebuild, humans struck again, smaller, faster, more precise. The message was clear: this will never happen again. Other species began to understand humans were not angry, they were not cruel, they were thorough to humans. A threat that could return was still a threat. The council emergency session was called. Fear filled the chamber, not of invasion, but of escalation. If humans continued, no enemy would ever recover. Wars would not cycle, they would end forever. The balance would collapse. That was unacceptable. The Red War Protocol was enforced. Human warfare was outlawed. Human fleets were ordered to stand down, to disarm, to submit to monitoring. Humans listened. They complied publicly. Their fleets returned weapons. Power down. The galaxy breathed again, but something had changed. Trust was gone. Whenever conflict rose, species looked at human space and felt uneasy because they knew the truth. Humans had not shown their full strength. They had shown restraint, and that was far more frightening. Galaxy called it peace. Humans called it waiting, waiting for the next team, a line would be crossed, waiting for the next world that would burn, waiting for the moment when war would no longer be optional. And when that day came, the galaxy would remember why human warfare was never meant to be used again. Asterisk Part 3. Humans did not fight. Like the rest, time passed. The Red War Protocol became law, then tradition, then myth. New generations grew up believing it was ancient history. Young species studied war as numbers, loss ratios, territory exchange, negotiated endings. To them, war was a controlled event, a reset, not an ending. Humans watched all of it. They stayed quiet, they traded, they explored the edges of known space, but they also remembered. Every human world carried the memory of the burned colony. It was taught in schools, shared in stories, recorded without anger, just truth. When the next major galactic war began, humans were not involved, at least not officially. 2. Massive coalitions clashed, weapons lit, entire systems, planets shook, but rules held until one side began losing. Desperation grows fast in space. A failing admiral made a choice, a terrible one. They targeted civilians not directly, but through orbital collapse. A moon was pushed from orbit, it fell, the planet died slowly, billions were lost. The council reacted, condemnation, sanctions, emergency votes. Words. Humans saw the footage, and something shifted. They did not mobilize fleets. They did not break the law. Instead, they opened archives. They released data to the galaxy. Every human war study, every simulation, every projection, they showed what real war looked like. What happened when rules failed? The data was clear. Once humans entered a war, it did not return to balance. It ended. Other species laughed at first, until they studied the numbers. Human models did not calculate victory. They calculated elimination of future risk. They did not ask, how do we win? They asked, how do we make sure this never happens again? That question terrified military planners because it had no limit. Then something unexpected happened. The same coalition that caused the civilian disaster secretly contacted human strategists. They wanted help, not publicly, not officially. Humans refused at first. Then they asked one question: will you accept the outcome? The answer came back, yes. Human advisors entered the war quietly, no fleets, no flags, just minds. The war changed overnight. Supply chains collapsed, command structures failed, allies lost trust. The coalition turned on itself. The enemy surrendered within weeks. The galaxy was shocked. No human ship had fired a shot. Yet an entire war had ended. The council investigated. They traced decisions, strategies, information flow. Every path led back to human. Logic, cold, precise, unemotional. That was when the council understood human warfare was not about weapons. It was about thinking. A way of seeing conflict as a problem to be solved, not a contest to be endured. You could not regulate that, you could not contain it, because ideas spread. The Red War Protocol was updated. Not just a ban on human weapons, but on human command. Humans were forbidden from advising, planning, or modeling galactic wars. The official reason was stability, the real reason was fear. Because humans did not fight like the rest, they did not seek honor or territory or revenge, they sought finality, and in a galaxy built on endless cycles of war, finality was the most dangerous weapon of all. The ban was active, the law was clear. Humans were not allowed to fight, not with ships, not with plans, not with ideas. For a while, the galaxy felt safe. Wars continued limited, predictable, until the impossible happened. Something old awakened beyond mapped space, an ancient force, not an empire, not a species A moving extinction. It did not negotiate, it did not claim territory, it erased system stars, went dark, planets cracked. Entire regions fell silent. Council fleets responded, as they always did. They followed doctrine, they followed rules, they lost every battle, cost more, every retreat weakened morale. The enemy adapted faster than expected. Civilian worlds were evacuated, then hunted. The council met again. Fear replaced pride. Someone spoke the thought no one wanted to say. We are losing. Silence followed. Another voice spoke. There is one option left. No name was said, none was needed. The council resisted. They argued law, balance, order, but extinction does not wait. A vote was held. The ban remained publicly, privately. Messages were sent. Human space received encrypted signals, unofficial, unrecorded. Humans listened. They did not answer immediately. They studied the threat, its movement, its pattern, and they saw the truth. This enemy was not fighting a war. It was testing defenses, probing reactions, learning. Human analysts shared one conclusion: if this continues, nothing survives. Human leaders faced a choice: obey the law or save the galaxy. They chose neither. Human fleets did not launch. No borders were crossed. Instead, human systems went dark. Trade stopped. Signals faded. The galaxy thought humans had withdrawn. They were wrong. Deep space sensors detected strange activity. Not weapons, not fleets. Information. Human probes spread through hidden channels, mapping the enemy. Learning how it thought, they found the core pattern. The enemy relied on reaction, on response, on fear. Humans changed the equation. They stopped reacting. Council forces were told to hold position, to stop engaging. Confusion spread. The enemy advanced, expecting resistance. It found none. Its movements slowed, its formations tightened. That was the mistake. Human data flooded council networks. Anonymous, precise targets appeared, not planets, not ships. Control nodes. Council fleets followed the data, not knowing its source. One strike, then another. The enemy staggered. It had never faced coordination like this. Within days, its advance stopped. Within weeks, it began to collapse. Inward systems were reclaimed. Damage was limited. The galaxy celebrated. Then the council discovered the truth. Every successful maneuver, every decisive strike led back to human space. The law had not been broken, not officially. No human weapon fired, no command issued, yet the war had turned. The council panicked. If humans could influence war without fighting, then the ban meant nothing. Emergency measures were discussed: sanctions, isolation, total separation. But before action could be taken, humans sent a message, one simple transmission, shared openly: we solved the problem. Do not ask us to do it again. The council understood then human warfare was not about presence or permission. It was about capability, and capability could not be erased. The enemy was gone. The galaxy survived, but fear remained, because everyone knew next time humans might not stay silent, and if they chose to act openly, no law would matter, no rule would hold. The galaxy did not sleep. That cycle, stars felt colder, space felt smaller, and every species shared the same thought: what if humans stop holding back? After the ancient threat vanished, the galaxy tried to return to normal. Trade routes reopened, fleets repaired, worlds rebuilt. Official reports credited council unity, shared sacrifice, strategic discipline. Human involvement was never mentioned, publicly, privately. Every leader knew the truth: without humans, the galaxy would have ended. That truth created a new problem. Gratitude fades, fear does not. Council analysts reviewed the conflict frame by frame, decision by decision. They saw a pattern: humans never rushed, never reacted in panic, never chased glory. They waited, they watched, they acted only when the outcome was certain. Other species fought wars, humans solved them. That difference frightened the galaxy, because a species that fights can be negotiated with, a species that solves problems cannot. Emergency sessions followed, closed doors, shielded chambers. One question dominated every discussion: what happens if humans decide we are the problem? No one answered out loud. They did not need to. Humans had already shown restraint twice. Once was mercy, twice was warning, a third time might be judgment. The Red War Protocol was reviewed again, expanded, strengthened, new clauses were added. Humans were banned from military research sharing. From predictive modeling, from crisis coordination, human data networks were isolated, joint systems dismantled. The official reason was independence, the real reason was control. The galaxy wanted distance. Not because humans were hostile, but because they were effective. Humans noticed the changes immediately. Trade delays, restricted access, silent systems. They understood what it meant, and they did not protest. Human leaders addressed their people. The galaxy is afraid. Fear creates walls. Walls create mistakes. We will not push. Human fleets remained docked. Shipyards went quiet. Research continued inward. The galaxy interpreted this as relief. They were wrong again. Fear does not fade when the danger hides, it grows. Military planners began creating countermeasures. Not against invasion, but against influence. Firewalls, decentralized command, randomized logistics, all designed to break patterns to prevent human-style solutions. The irony was lost on them. They were adopting human thinking. To protect themselves from humans, border conflicts continued. Smaller wars, limited damage, but something had changed. Every commander now asked the same question: what would humans do? And when no answer came, they hesitated. That hesitation cost lives. Confidence eroded. The galaxy was stable, but weaker. Human observers recorded everything, not with judgment, but with concern. They saw systems repeating mistakes because no one was allowed to finish a war. Threats were paused, not removed, seeds of future disasters. Humans debated internally. Some argued to step back completely, to let the galaxy learn. Others warned that learning through extinction was too high a price. No decision was made because humans understood one thing: the galaxy needed to choose. You cannot fear a protector and still expect protection. As years passed, whispers spread, stories among traders, rumors among soldiers, that when humans stopped helping, wars lasted longer, suffering increased. No proof, just patterns, and patterns matter. Then, a council report leaked. It stated a simple conclusion: humanity is not aggressive. Humanity is not hostile. Humanity is final. That word spread faster than any fleet. Final. It echoed in halls, on worlds, across networks. Final meant no return, no recovery, no next cycle. The galaxy had outlawed human warfare to feel safe, but safety built on fear is fragile, and deep down every species knew if the next great threat came and humans refused to help, there would be no law, no protocol, no meeting, only silence, and the cold realization that fear had pushed away the only species willing to end the nightmare forever. The report changed everything. It was never meant to be public, never meant to spread, but once it did, it could not be erased. Humanity is final. That sentence settled into the galaxy like a slow-moving storm. Council leaders tried to contain the damage. They issued clarifications, soft words, careful statements. They said humans were misunderstood, that cooperation still mattered. Few believed them because actions speak louder than broadcasts. New laws followed, quiet at first, then firm. Human observers were removed from shared stations. Joint exercises were canceled. Mixed crews were dissolved. Even humanitarian missions were limited. The galaxy was not pushing humans away. It was building a cage, a polite one. Humans were given a choice: accept permanent neutrality or face total isolation. The council framed it as protection, protection for peace, protection for balance. Humans understood the real meaning. Fear had won. Human representatives attended the final session, not angry, not defensive, calm. The chamber expected resistance, debate, warnings. They got none. A human delegate stepped forward, spoke slowly. We see your concern. We accept your decision. Murmurs filled the hall. The delegate continued, but understand this: you are not banning our weapons, you are banning your last option. Silence followed. The law was passed. The Final Warfare Exclusion Act teached that humanity was forbidden from all forms of conflict involvement, direct or indirect, physical or strategic. The reason was recorded plainly: human methods of war create irreversible outcomes, too dangerous for galactic stability. The law went into effect immediately. Human fleets were locked behind borders. Their movement tracked, their signals monitored. Humanity was contained across human space. There was no panic, no uprising. People went to work, children went to school. But something subtle changed. Military academies closed their galactic studies. They focused inward on defense, on theory. Scientists shifted priorities from cooperation to independence. Exploration vessels turned away from council space, heading deeper farther. Humans did not argue. They adapted. Other species watched closely, waiting for retaliation. None came. Years passed. Galaxy declared the policy a success: no human interference, no sudden war endings. Conflicts continued as before. Messy, slow-controlled council leaders congratulated themselves balance had been restored, but beneath the surface, new problems grewed. Enemies recovered, hidden fleets expanded, ancient threats stirred. Without human intervention, warnings went unnoticed. Patterns ignored. The galaxy had chosen comfort over conclusion. Human analysts saw it all from afar. They tracked signals, mapped movements, predicted outcomes, and they reached the same conclusion. Again and again, this will end badly. Human leaders debated not about power, but responsibility. Do you protect those who fear you, or respect their choice? The answer was written into the law: do nothing. So humans did nothing. They watched. They waited, and beyond the edge of known space, something watched back, something that did not fear laws or counsels, something that would force the galaxy to face the truth. It tried to escape that. Some dangers cannot be balanced. The warning came too late. Outer systems went silent one by one without distress calls. Stars dimmed, trade routes vanished. Council sensors showed movement, massive, organized, patient, not chaos, not panic. Hunting emergency sessions were called faster than ever before, leaders argued, then stopped because every projection ended the same way: total collapse. The final warfare exclusion act was reviewed, reinterpreted. No loopholes were found. Humanity was still banned, but extinction does not respect law. A junior delegate spoke, voice shaking. We need them. No one objected. Not this time. Encrypted channels were open. Codes long unused were activated. The message was short: we were wrong. Human space received it. Then many more apologies. Plea, fear humans. Listen, they did not celebrate. They did not delay. Human leaders gathered, military, scientific, civil. The question was not, can we help? It was, how far must we go? The threat was analyzed quickly, thoroughly. The conclusion was unanimous: this cannot be contained. It must be finished. A reply was sent to the council: we will act, but understand this: if we begin, there will be no return to balance, only an ending. The council accepted without hesitation. The law was suspended, not repealed. Suspension felt safer. Human fleets launched for the first time in decades, not massive armadas, focused formations. Their ships looked unchanged, but they were not. They moved with certainty, with purpose. No speeches were made, no banners flown. The galaxy watched. The war was short, not because the enemy was weak, but because humans did not fight it. They dismantled it. Control nodes vanished, decision chains broke. The core was isolated. The enemy tried to adapt. It could not. There was no reaction to exploit, no fear to feed on. Within weeks, the threat collapsed into silence. No worlds were lost after human arrival. The galaxy survived. Celebration followed, relief, tears. Then came the question, what now? Humans did not stay. They withdrew, returned to their borders. Before leaving, they sent one final message: we answered the call. Do not make us the only answer. The final warfare exclusion act was restored, stronger than before, not out of fear, out of respect, because the galaxy finally understood human warfare was not outlawed because humans were evil. It was outlawed because when humans fight, they do not stop at victory, ****. They stop at the end, and the galaxy knew if it ever failed again, if it ever let fear replace responsibility, there would be no call left to make, only quiet stars and the memory that the most dangerous weapon in the universe was not a fleet or a bomb. It was a species that knew how to finish a war.